Balaam's first prophecy. The next morning, Balak took Balaam up to Bamoth Baal, from where Balaam could see a part of the people of Israel. He said to Balak, "Build 7 altars here for me, and bring me 7 bulls and 7 rams." Balak did as he was told, and he and Balaam offered a bull and a ram on each altar. Then Balaam said to Balak, "Stand here by your burnt offering, while I go to see whether or not the Lord will meet me. I will tell you whatever he reveals to me." So he went alone to the top of a hill, and God met him. Balaam said to him, "I have built the 7 altars and offered a bull and a ram on each." The Lord told Balaam what to say and sent him back to Balak to give him his message. So he went back and found Balak still standing by his burnt offering with all the leaders of Moab. Balaam uttered this prophecy: "Balak, king of Moab, has brought me from Syria, from the eastern mountains. Come speak for me," he said. "Put a curse on the people of Israel." How can I curse what God has not cursed, or speak of doom when the Lord has not? From the high rocks I can see them. I can watch them from the hills. They are a nation that lives alone. They know they are blessed more than other nations. The descendants of Israel are like the dust. There are too many of them to be counted. Let me end my days like one of God's people. Let me die in peace like the righteous. Then Balak said to Balaam, "What have you done to me? I brought you here to curse my enemies, but all you have done is bless them." He answered, I can say only what the Lord tells me to say." Let's continue. Balaam's second prophecy. Then Balak said to Balaam, "Come with me to another place from which you can see only some of the Israelites. Curse them from me here." He took him to the field of Zophim on the top of Mount Pisgah. There also he built 7 altars and offered a bull and a ram on each of them. Balaam said to Balak, "Stand here by your burnt offering, and I will meet God over there." The Lord met Balaam, told him what to say, and sent him back to Balak to give him his message. So he went back and found Balak, still standing by his burnt offering, with the leaders of Moab. Balak asked what the Lord had said, and Balaam uttered this prophecy: "Come, Balak, son of Zippor, and listen to what I have to say. God is not like people who lie. He is not a human who changes his mind. Whatever he promises, he does. He speaks, and it is done. I have been instructed to bless, and when God blesses, I cannot call it back. I foresee that Israel's future will bring her no misfortune or trouble. The Lord their God is with them. They proclaim that he is their king. God has brought them out of Egypt. He fights for them like a wild ox. There is no magic charm, no witchcraft that can be used against the nation of Israel. Now people will say about Israel, 'Look what God has done.' The nation of Israel is like a mighty lion. It doesn't rest until it has torn and devoured, until it has drunk the blood of those it has destroyed." Then Balak said to Balaam, "You refuse to curse the people of Israel, but at least do not bless them." Balaam answered, "Didn't I tell you that I had to do everything that the Lord told me?" Balaam's third prophecy. Balak said, "Come with me, and I'll take you to another place. Perhaps God will be willing to let you curse them from there." So he took Balaam to the top of Mount Peor, overlooking the desert. Balaam said to him, "Build 7 altars for me here, and bring me 7 bulls and 7 rams." Balak did as he was told and offered a bull and a ram on each altar. So Balak took Balaam to several places to try to entice him into cursing the Israelites, right? He thought that, a change of scenery might help change Balaam's mind, but changing locations will not change God's will. And Balaam seemed aware of this already. Behind Balak's request was probably the pagan assumption that gods were thought to have only regional control. So Balaam would no longer have to obey God if he was out of God's jurisdiction. But Balak's problem had nothing to do with his location. He apparently did not understand that God's sovereignty has no limits. Balak's problem would stay with him regardless of where he took Balaam. So we must learn to face the truth source of our problems. Moving to escape problems often only makes solving them more difficult. Problems rooted in us or in the focus of our faith are not solved by change of scenery. A change in location or job may only distract us from the need to have a change of heart. 24. By now, Balaam knew that the Lord wanted him to bless the people of Israel, so he did not go to look for omens, as he had done before. He turned toward the desert and saw the people of Israel camped tribe by tribe. The Spirit of God took control of him, and he uttered this prophecy. Now, before we go right here, just something real quick, because Balaam was known to be a sorcerer in this case, but he was a diviner. He would look for omens or signs to help him tell the future. In this situation, however, it was clear that God himself was speaking, and so Balaam needed no other signs, real or imagined. Let's look at the prophecy. The message of Balaam, son of Beor, the words of the man who can see clearly. Who can hear what God is saying? With staring eyes I see in a trance, a vision from Almighty God. The tents of Israel are beautiful, like long rows of palms or gardens beside a river, like aloe planted by the Lord, or cedars beside the water. They will have abundant rainfall and plant their seed in well-watered fields. Their king shall be greater than Agag, and his rule shall be extended far and wide. Now, who was Agag? Agag may have been used as a title for the king of the Amalekites, just as Pharaoh was a ruler of Egypt. Many years after this prophecy, Saul, the king of Israel, defeated a king called Agag. That's from 1 Samuel chapter 15. Balaam prophesied correctly the ruin of Israel's oldest enemy. So it was actually a good way of saying a prophecy there. 8. God brought them out of Egypt. He fights for them like a wild ox. They devour their enemies, crush their bones, smash their arrows. The nation is like a mighty lion. When it is sleeping, no one dares wake it. Whoever blesses Israel will be blessed, and whoever curses Israel will be cursed. 10. Balak clenched his fist in anger and said to Balaam, I called you to curse my enemies, but 3 times now you have blessed them instead. Now get on home. I promised to reward you, but the Lord has kept you from getting the reward. Balaam answered, I told the messengers you sent me that even if you gave me all the silver and gold in your palace, I could not disobey the command of the Lord by doing anything of myself. I will say only what the Lord tells me to say. Okay, let's see. So far what we read in verse 11 is kind of important. Although Balaam's motives were not correct, in blessing Israel, he acted with integrity. God's message had so filled Balaam that he spoke the truth. In so doing, he forfeited the reward that had lured him to speak in the first place. Staying true to God's word may cost us promotions and advantages in the short run, but those who choose God over money will one day acquire heavenly wealth beyond measure. As it turns out, however, Balaam's submission to God was only short-lived, and he ultimately suffered the consequences of his sin. We're going to read about that in chapter 31. Let's continue. Balaam's final prophecies. Balaam said to Balak, Now I'm going back to my own people, but before I go, I'm warning you what the people of Israel will do to your people in the future. Then he uttered this prophecy. The message of Balaam, son of Beor, the words of the man who can see clearly, who can hear what God is saying and receive the knowledge that comes from the Most High. With staring eyes, I see in a trance, a vision from Almighty God. I look into the future, and I see the nation of Israel. A king, like a bright star, will arise in that nation. Like a comet, he will come from Israel. He will strike the leaders of Moab and beat down all the people of Seth. He will conquer his enemies in Edom and make the land his property, while Israel continues victorious. The nation of Israel will trample them down and wipe out the last survivors. So, what did we just read here? The star that will rise from Jacob is often thought of to refer to the coming Messiah. Some people feel it's David, but it points more to the Messiah. It was probably this prophecy that convinced the wise men to travel to Israel to search for the baby Jesus. Matthew chapter 2. It seems strange that God would use a sorcerer like Balaam to foretell the coming of the Messiah. But this teaches us that God can use anything or anyone to accomplish his plans. By using Balaam, God did not make sorcery acceptable. In fact, the Bible condemns it in several places. I can mention Exodus 22, 2 Chronicles 33, Revelation 18, but you guys get the idea. Rather, in doing this, God showed his ultimate sovereignty over good and evil. Okay, now let's see. Let's continue. Then in his vision, Balaam said, saw the Amalekites and uttered this prophecy. Amalek was the most powerful nation of all, but at the end it will perish forever. In his vision, he saw the Kenites and uttered this prophecy. The place where you live is secure, safe as a nest set high on a cliff. But you Kenites will be destroyed when Assyria takes you captive. Balaam uttered this prophecy. He said, "Who are these people gathering in the north? Invaders will sail from Cyprus. They will conquer Assyria and Eber, but they in turn will perish forever." Then Balaam got ready and went back home, and Balak went on his way. Remember these words right here, people, because something happened that is not here yet. It'll be in chapter 31. Here it says that Balaam got ready and went back home, and Balak went on his way. It didn't quite happen. There was a change of plans right after that. We're going to get to that chapter 31. But remember that. Apparently, allegedly, Balaam left. The reason I'm telling you this again, remember we just read in Revelation that even God was saying how people listened to Balaam because Balaam got them to eat forbidden foods and to participate in sexual sin, if you will. So we're going to read about that in 31. Okay, let's continue now. Chapter 25. The people of Israel at Peor. When the Israelites were camped at Acacia Valley, the men began to have sexual intercourse with the Moabite women who were there. Now, let me pause for a second. I'm going to give you a little spoiler here. Who do you think, and I just gave you a lot of clues for the last minute or 2 minutes, who do you think was the ringleader of this fiasco right here? Okay, just put what we're going to read in the next few paragraphs is very important because it's a very tragic turn of events. Remember, God had told his people, do not mix with these people. Do not have relations with any of these people because they're going to make you worship their gods, right? God warned them. I mean, he literally just warned them out. You wouldn't even say it days before this happened. But I just want to remind you. Let me give you the spoiler. Balaam didn't quite go home. Maybe he started going home, but he came back. Maybe he had an idea because we're going to find out in chapter 31 that Balaam convinced Balak to have their people, which is the Moabites and Midianites, and even Even it wasn't Edomites; it was the Moabites and the Midianites primarily, who were told the women to have sex with the Israelite men and to have them worship their gods. So this is and it's so sad because Balaam didn't even get paid for that. He was supposed to get paid for cursing Israel. He didn't do that. I guess he came back with the idea. I know how I can get Israel. I'll have their women have sex with the Israelite men, and they'll be worshiping Moabite gods and etc. And that's what the Israelites are going to mess up. So let's read about this. Let's start 25 again. When the Israelites were camped at Acacia Valley, the men began to have sexual intercourse with the Moabite women who were there. These women invited them to sacrificial feasts where the god of Moab was worshipped. This god of Moab here, the god of Moab was a guy named Chemosh. We don't have to go too much into his, but he was one of those false gods they worshiped, Chemosh. The Israelites ate the food and worshipped the god. Baal of Peor. So, Baal, by the way, Baal is not a name of a god. Baal is another term for Lord, but obviously not the real Lord. So, the Lord of Peor, each region had a different god, if you will. So, this is not the Baal that we're going to read about later with Ahab and Jezebel. This is a different one. This is just simply a title, like Lord. That's what I'm telling you. The guy's name was Chemosh. Okay, take all the leaders of Israel and in obedience to me, execute them in broad daylight. And then I will no longer be angry with the people. Moses said to the officials, each of you is to kill every man in your tribe who has become a worshiper of Baal of Peor. One of the Israelites, right there where everybody was standing, right? Look what happens. One of the Israelites took a Midianite woman into his tent in the sight of Moses and the whole community, while they were mourning at the entrance of the tent of the Lord's presence. When Phinehas, the son of Eleazar, the grandson of Aaron, the priest, saw this, he got up and left the assembly. He took a spear, followed the man and the woman into the tent, and drove the spear through both of them. In this way, the epidemic that was destroying Israel was stopped. But it had already destroyed 24,000 people. So the Lord was really upset with the Israelites because they had done two very bad things. Eating food they were not supposed to eat because it was offered to a different god, and they had relations with these Moabite and Midianite women, which they weren't supposed to do. Okay, let me see here. Now, so let me just recap this little part here. This combination of sexual sin and idolatry, turns out it was Balaam's idea. Chapter 31, verse 16, and we read Revelation chapter 2, verse 14. The same Balaam who had just blessed Israel and who appeared to be on their side. It's easy to see how the Israelites were misled, for Balaam seemed to say and do all the right things, at least for a while, right? Not until Balaam had inflicted great damage on them that the Israelites realized that he was greedy, that he used sorcery and was deeply involved in pagan religious practices. We must be careful to weigh the words and the deeds of those who claim to have spiritual help, especially on TikTok. Those, you guys already know I don't want to get into it. People call themselves titles and stuff. Anyways, let's continue. The Bible doesn't say how the Israelite men got involved in sexual immorality. One thing we do know is that sacred prostitution was a common practice among the Canaanite religions. At first, the Israelites did not think about worshiping idols. They were just interested in sex. Before long, they started attending local feasts and family celebrations that involved idol worship. Soon they were in over their heads, absorbed into the practices of the pagan culture. Their desire for fun and pleasure caused them to loosen their spiritual commitment. Now, in verse 1, a couple of things here. This verse shows the great challenge Israel had to face. The most dangerous problem for Moses and Joshua was not Jericho's hostility, but ever-present temptation to compromise with the pagan Canaanite religions and cultures. Okay, now we can continue. Let me see. One of the took a Midianite woman and turned it into. Yeah, clearly right here from verse 6 to verse 9, clearly this woman was brought into the Israelites' tent for sex. Zimri, chapter 25, verse 14, so disregarded the law of God that he brought the woman right into the camp in front of everybody. Verse 10, the Lord said to Moses, because of what Phinehas has done, I am no longer angry with the people of Israel. He refused to tolerate the worship of any god but me, and that is why I did not destroy them in my anger. So tell him that I'm making a covenant with him that is valid for all time to come. He and his descendants are permanently established as priests because he did not tolerate any rivals to me and brought about forgiveness for the people's sin. The name of the Israelite who was destroyed with the Midianite woman was Zimri, son of Salu, the head of a family in the tribe of Simeon. The woman's name was Cosbi. Zur, her father, was chief of a group of Midianite clans. The Lord commanded Moses, attack the Midianites and destroy them because of the evil they did to you when they deceived you at Peor, and because of Cosbi, who was killed at the time of the epidemic at Peor. So it is clear, Phinehas did a very good thing. Remember, he's Aaron's grandson, so he was next in line to be the high priest. And he did the very good thing. It was very justified. It's clear from Phinehas' story that some anger is proper and justified. He was angry because of his zeal for the Lord. However, Phinehas' situation was truly unique to that day and time because God was forgiving a nation that was to be totally dedicated to him. We must be careful how we apply this to our day and time. But there are general principles that we can take away from this event. An important question to ask is, how can I know when my anger is appropriate and when it should be restrained? Ask these questions when you become angry. For example, why am I angry? Why am I angry? Second, whose rights are being violated, mine or another's? 3, is the truth, in other words, a principle of God, being violated? If only your rights are at stake, it may be wise to keep angry feeling under control. It just might be pride. But if the truth is at stake of another person being abused, anger is often justified. Although violence and retaliation are almost always the wrong way to express it, if we are becoming more and more like God, we should be increasingly angered by sin, but we also need to handle our anger properly. And Phinehas' act made atonement for the nation of Israel. 24,000 people had already passed away because of that plague. So Phinehas' act actually made atonement for everybody. In effect, what he did averted God's judgment. Because of this, his descendants will become the high priests of Israel. They continue so throughout the history of the tabernacle and the temple. All right, so let's see here. What time is it? It's 51. Yeah, we can read this. We can just read this. After the epidemic, the Lord said to Moses and Eleazar, the son of Aaron, take a census. Oh, let me pause. Remember they took a census in the beginning of Numbers? The people that were there? It was 603,000 plus. Now, this is 40 years later. Remember, a lot of years have passed by. So now it's time to find out how many people are left or how many people they have with this new generation. The old one had already been passing away throughout the desert. Aaron passed away, Miriam passed away, all these other people passed away. Moses is going to pass away pretty soon. So it was time for a second census to see how many people were going to go into the promised land. So here we go. After the epidemic, the Lord said to Moses and Eleazar the son of Aaron, "Take a census by families of the whole community of Israel, of all men 20 years old or older who are fit for military service." Moses and Eleazar obeyed and called together all the men of that age group. They assembled in the plains of Moab across the Jordan River from Jericho. These were the Israelites who came out of Egypt. The tribe of Reuben. Reuben was the oldest son of Jacob. The clans of Hanok, Palu, Hezron, and Carmi. These clans numbered 43,730. The descendants of Palu were Eliab and his sons Nemuel, Dathan, and Abiram. These are the Dathan and Abiram who were chosen by the community. They defied Moses and Aaron, who joined the followers of Korah when they rebelled against the Lord. The ground opened and swallowed them, and they died with Korah and his followers when fire destroyed 250 men. They became a warning to the people, but the sons of Korah were not destroyed. The tribe of Simeon, the clans of Nemuel, Jamin, Jachin, Zerah, and Shaul. These clans number 22,200. The tribe of Gad, the clans of Zephon, Hagi, Shuni, Ozni, Eri, Arod, and Areli. These clans numbered 40,500. The tribe of Judah, the clans of Shelah, Perez, Zerah, Hezron, and Hamul. Two of Judah's sons, Er and Onan, had died in the land of Canaan. These clans numbered 76,500 men. The tribe of Issachar, the clans of Tola, Pua, Jashub, and Shimron. These clans numbered 64,300. The tribe of Zebulun, the clans of Sered, Elon, and Jalil. These clans numbered 60,500. The tribes of Joseph, who was the father of two sons, Manasseh and Ephraim. The tribe of Manasseh, Machir son of Manasseh was the father of Gilead, and the following clans traced their ancestry to Gilead. The clans of Ezer, Helek, Azriel, Shechem, Shemida, and Hefer. Zelophehad, son of Hefer, had no sons, but only daughters. Their names were Mala, Noah, Hogla, Milcah, and Tirzah. These clans numbered 52,700 men. The tribe of Ephraim, the clans of Shutelah, Becher, and Tahan. The clan of Eran traced his descendant from Shutelah. These clans numbered 32,500 men. These are the clans descended from Joseph. The tribe of Benjamin, the clans of Bela, Ashbel, Ahiram, Shephufam, and Hufam. The clans of Ard and Aman traced their descent from Bela. These clans numbered 45,600 men. The tribe of Dan, the clan of Shuham, which numbered 64,400 men. The tribe of Asher, the clans of Imnah, Ishvi, and Beriah. The clans of Heber and Machiel traced their descendant from Beriah. Asher had a daughter named Serah. These clans numbered 53,400. The tribe of Naphtali, the clans of Jezreel, Guni, Jezer, and Shilem. These clans numbered 45,400 men. The total number of the Israelite men was 601,730. Hold on, please. Okay, all right. The Lord said to Moses, "Divide the land among the tribes according to their size. Divide the land by drawing lots, and give a larger share to a larger tribe, and a small one to a small tribe." The tribe of Levi consisted of the clans of Gershon, Kohath, and Merari. Their descendants included the subclans of Libni, Hebron, Mali, Mushi, and Korah. Kohath was the father of Amram, who was married to Levi's daughter Jochebed, who was born in Egypt. She bore Amram two sons, Aaron and Moses, and a daughter Miriam. Aaron had four sons, Nadab, Abihu, Eleazar, and Ithamar. Nadab and Abihu died when they offered unholy fire to the Lord. The male Levites who were 1 month old or older numbered 23,000. They were listed separately from the rest of the Israelites because they were not given any property in Israel. All these clans were listed by Moses and Eleazar when they took a census of the Israelites in the plains of Moab across the Jordan River from Jericho. There was not even one man left among those whom Moses and Aaron had listed in the first census. So see, everybody had already passed away from the first group 40 years earlier. The Lord had said that all of them would die in the wilderness, and except for Caleb, son of Jephunneh, and Joshua, the son of Nun, they all did. All right, people. Thank you.